Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, and welcome to another Sabbath Sunday. This is where Darin and I get together with you on Sunday, talk all things Black Sabbath. Darin and I have a Black Sabbath podcast called Into the Void, a Black Sabbath podcast. You can find it on all the streaming networks. Make sure you check that out. On today's episode, well, we're kind of checking in with you here. We're early in the year. It's early February, kind of checking in with what is on the docket for Black Sabbath in this coming year. Things we know they're going to release, some interesting things that have popped up, archival type things. So we're going to be talking about the just announced Heaven and Hell, the band box set called Breaking Out of Heaven 2007 to 2009. We're also going to be talking about a seven-star remastered vinyl reissue that is going to be put out on Record Store Day, which is in April, if I remember correctly. And we also just recently, falls under the category of like, where do these things come from? Somebody was on the news in England, I think it was, Darren. I don't remember where it was exactly. And the guy had a cassette tape that had Ozzy, Randy, and Bob on it, just sort of
Yeah.
jamming on a blues song. So we're going to talk about that. Definitely some weird little anomaly thing that came out of nowhere, and maybe we'll talk about some other things that maybe could possibly be on the horizon. So, all right, so let's start with the big one because I've had a bunch of people ask me my thoughts on this, ask us what we were going to make a video on it. The Breaking Out of Heaven, '07 to '09. This is the Heaven and Hell band, Black Sabbath basically in name, in name, Heaven and Hell in name only. It's really Black Sabbath. Of course, they released during when Ronnie was alive. They released There were basically four kind of releases around this band. The first thing was the Dio Years compilation that came out, and there were three songs on the Dio Years compilation: "Ear in the Wall," "Shadow of the Wind," and "The Devil Cried." And those were only ever released on CD. Those are going to be in this box set. There's a vinyl version of the box, there's a CD version of the box. The Devil You Know album came out under the title of Heaven and I'm sorry, Live at Radio City Music Hall came out first, which was all Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Dehumanizer songs. Plus, they did those songs that were on the compilation, right? It was a DVD, it was a CD package. Then came The Devil You Know, which was a studio record. And then came Live at Wacken. What is the full title of Live at Wacken? Isn't something like 40 years of metal or something like that?
Neon Nights, Heaven and Hell, Neon Nights.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
30 years of Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, right. So that then had some stuff from the album and uh, stuff from their time in Black Sabbath. So you get all that. I was a little confused. I'm assuming it's remastered, although I'm just assuming it's remastered. Uh, I was watching someone else's, I forget his name, I'll look it up. He has a real famous YouTube channel. Spinning Now, I think is the name of his channel. And he was talking about how the DVD, the CD box comes with the DVD. I don't think the vinyl comes with the DVD. I could be wrong. That the Live at Radio City show has some songs on it that weren't on the original DVD. I can't confirm that. I only heard one person say that in a video when they were talking about this. So yeah, here we go. Darren, what did you think of this when you heard that they were putting this box set out? Are you excited for it? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping that we would have our Born Again box set, which is kind of ironic because I historically haven't been much of a fan of Born Again, but over the course of the past couple years and the prospect of it being remixed and remastered and just have a nice package to go with Born Again, I was looking forward to that. I kind of psyched myself into it because I mean, it seemed like Tony Iommi or the Tony Iommi organization or whoever it is that represents him was dropping hints all over the place. And there were some things that came out in the news about finding the original master tapes and so on and so forth. So I was thinking that that was going to be the next thing. So when this dropped last week, I think is when I think I sent you a message and I said, "Look at this." I was surprised. It just kind of came out of left field, and initially, I was disappointed. I to me, so third, okay, so the Devil You Know to the Dio era for me is like 13 for the Ozzy era. Okay, it sounds to me. I'm not a huge fan. There's a couple songs on it that I like, and I could probably say the same for 13. But for the Devil You Know, for me for the Dio era is sort of like it just kind of sounded phoned in. Even at the time, I wasn't. I liked it because I was excited about Dio being in the band and playing with Tony and Geezer, and Vinny. I think originally it was supposed to be Bill, but then Bill opted out for one reason or another, and Vinny stepped in. But so I mean, it was exciting. But then when I heard the album, I was like, okay, all right. I mean, it left a lot to be desired, from my perspective. And I'm sure there's people that love the album. No offense, but I mean, to each his own. It's all subjective. So I mean, and we've talked about it too, and we've done our ranking, our overall Sabbath ranking. When we put Heaven and Hell, The Devil You Know, in with the other Sabbath albums, and it generally ranked pretty low for us. So I just think that there's other things that people would want more, and I don't understand why we're not getting them. It's not to sound ungrateful because I guess, whatever they give us, whenever they throw us a bone, we have to appreciate it. But it is curious to me why there's no Master of Reality. Why? I mean, now that they did release an anniversary vinyl edition of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, but I mean, they could do more with that. Could have done more with that. And if that's all there is, then that's kind of disappointing. But I like, before the Heaven and Hell, Devil You Know box came out, I would have expected something to finish up the Ozzy era and then move on. But I mean, they're all over the place. You know, they're Heaven and Hell, or yeah, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, and then what came was it Sabotage, and then it's like it's all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason. It's completely unpredictable. Um, but I mean, once I got over the initial disappointment of it, I'm like, well, that's cool. I mean, personally, like I was just holding up the albums. I mean, I have the stuff that's in the box set. I have the live at Radio City. I've got the
Yeah.
Bakken. I've got the studio album. Now, this this that is going to be on the box set it's an expanded. It's supposedly the first or the entire concert.
Whoa, whoa,
And
hold on. Hold on, because I checked that and I looked
okay,
at the Rhino site and checked it against the original release. And there's nothing listed on the Rhino site. The Rhino site has a 7 LP box. There's nothing listed on. In fact, if you got the record in front of you, I'm going to
yep,
read down what it says on this is live at Radio City, right?
yeah,
Okay,
uh-huh,
here's what's on the record according to Rhino. Tell me if there's anything here that's not on your vinyl. Die
okay,
Young, Heaven and Hell, Lonely is the Word, Neon Nights.
okay.
Uh, wait a minute. What's
Lonely as the
going on
word is
here?
not on the vinyl.
Oh, it isn't?
No, okay. So side one is intro E5150.
Oh, yeah, I started from the wrong spot. You read them off to me.
Okay, so first track is E5150, which is the
Yeah.
intro, then Mob Rules,
Yep.
Children of the Sea,
Yep.
Lady Evil.
Yep.
Side two is Sign of the Southern Cross, Voodoo. Side three, Computer God, Falling Off the Edge of the World, Die Young, and side four is Heaven and Hell and Neon Nights.
Okay, so I isn't on the vinyl?
No.
Okay, so that is on here. Here's the track listing here. E51051, Mob Rules, Children of Sea. Side 2, Lady Evil, I, which isn't on the original, Sign of the Southern Cross.
Okay.
Voodoo, The Devil Cried. Computer
All right.
God,
Not on.
Falling Off the Edge of the World, Shadow of the Wind.
Okay.
Uh, Die Young, Heaven and Hell, Lonely is the Word, Neon Nights.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's about four songs that aren't on here.
Yeah, because
It's a
that's a
way out
double
of print.
vinyl, right?
Huh? It's a
Double
double
vinyl.
vinyl, yeah. Side
This
one, side
is
two, side three, and side four.
side one, side
Now,
two, side one, side. This is a triple vinyl.
oh, well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Although Lady Evil is on side two, where on this it is at the end of side one. So I mean, it seems like they balanced out side one and side two. But also I is on side two, and what do you have? Two songs from the Dio years are that they played are also on this on
No,
the new version coming out.
the new version only has Live from Radio City. The new version only has The Devil Cried. That's the only one from the box set. From
On
that
this.
compilation, I mean. Yeah.
I
The
thought you
Devil, why is there something else on there from the
as you were reading off the song titles, there was like I think there was three that aren't on here. Can you just go through them again?
Sure. And you tell me if it's on there or not, and I'm gonna make a
Okay.
little note. So E5150 after all. Mob
No,
rule.
after all.
There's no after all?
No, after all.
Okay.
Mob
So
Rules
that
is on here.
Mob Rules is on there. Children of the
Uh-huh.
Sea.
Yes.
Lady Evil.
Yes.
I.
No.
Sign of the Southern Cross.
Yes.
Voodoo.
Yes.
The Devil Cried.
No.
Oh wow. Boy, I could have swore that might have been on the CD version, the
Well, I
original
have
CD.
the DVD.
But there was also a CD that they put out of it
Oh,
too.
I didn't get that.
All
Oh,
right, so let's
okay.
go back to the vinyl. So Devil Cried is not on the original vinyl. Computer God,
Not on the original. Computer God is. Yep.
Falling Off the Edge of the World.
Yep.
Shadow of the Wind.
No.
Okay. Die Young.
Yes.
Heaven and Hell.
Yes.
Lonely is the Word.
No.
Neon Nights.
Yes.
Okay, so
For the
you are
original.
getting here that you didn't get on the original. After all, I, Devil Cried, Shadow of the Wind, and Lonely is the Word.
Here's what I think the album, the new version is. So on the DVD, which is just the original DVD, it is E5150, After All, Mob Rules, Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, I, Sign of the Southern Cross, Voodoo, The Devil Cried, Computer God, Falling Off the Edge of the World, Shadow of the Wind, Die Young, Heaven and Hell, Lonely is the Word, Neon Nights, plus there's some bonus stuff on here. But as
That's the
far as the song,
exact list on the vinyl here.
yeah, so the new vinyl is basically it's this in its entirety, which is cool.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth $160 just to have those four songs, but
Well, and the three songs from the compilation. So now you're up to
right.
seven
Well,
songs. If we're keeping
yeah, that
score, you got seven songs that have never been released on vinyl before.
right. And so on
Let,
this, we have three sides, and then the fourth side is etched. So rather than yeah, so they put the extra songs from the Dio years on side four, which is good. That was a good idea. Um, and I think this is out of print. I think all these are out of print actually.
okay, let me
This is
go back to the 30 years of heaven and hell
okay.
because it looks like there might be something extra here too. I'm going to read it. Tell me if it's on there. Mob rules.
Yep.
Children of the Sea.
Yep.
I.
Yep.
Bible Black.
Yep.
Time Machine.
Yep.
Fear.
Yes.
Falling Off the Edge of the World.
Yes.
Follow the Tears.
Yes.
Die Young.
Yes.
Heaven and Hell,
Yes.
Neon Nights.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so this is an exact. There's nothing different
No,
between those two.
no.
All right. So if you're keeping score, you're getting seven songs, four from the Live at Radio City Music Hall that have never been released on vinyl, and you're getting the songs that was on the Dio Years compilation that have never been released on vinyl, the studio versions.
Right. Right. And if you don't own any of these, well, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah, and then it
now you
works
can.
out great for you. If you, I mean, like you, I already have the original. I have the same things that you do. And at first I was hesitant because I was like, okay, the only thing I don't have is those three studio songs from the compilation. But then those extra four songs. Here's another weird thing. I'm looking at the Rhino site. I don't see anything saying remastered. So that's kind of strange that you would think that they would at least do some sort of cursory remaster thing. I'm not particularly fond of the mix on the Vakken show because
No, I don't
Tony
like it
does
either.
something weird with his guitar where see, this is an issue with one guitar bands. When you listen to the studio record, they always double the guitar. So there's guitar in left channel, right channel. Well, what do you do when you play live? Well, you can do what they did with the original Live Evil, which is you basically make everything mono. Guitar in the middle, one guitar in the middle, one bass in the middle, drums in the middle, vocals in the middle. It sounds like a mono mix. There's no separate, real separation. Or they did some sort of weird thing where there's like, if you listen, it's like the guitar is in the right channel, but there's some like echoey guitar in the left. They tried to fill out the other channel and it
Yeah.
just sounds weird. And I never liked it. So I wish that maybe they could have fixed that. Isn't Jeff Nichols still playing keyboards with the band or
No,
no?
Scott Warren. Scott Warren is on
Okay.
keyboard.
Because I was going to say, like, why didn't Jeff play rhythm guitar? Because he does that
And that
when
might
he
be why they did it that way, because there is no rhythm
yeah,
guitar.
there
It's just
is
Scott.
no behind the curtain rhythm guitar. So
Yeah. I'm trying to find out who was the producer of this. I wonder if it was um Mike Exeter. Is that his name? He do a lot of the Sabbath stuff or has been over
yeah,
the last 20
or the
years or
Ozzy
so?
stuff, right? Uh,
And I think he's mostly Sabbath, but maybe both, but I think he's mostly the Sabbath. I
the
can't find it.
original is. I'm looking at it on Wikipedia. I see nothing about who produced it. There's no information if as far
Weird.
as who produced it, which is weird. Usually they say something.
And I mean, there's nothing on the back cover. You
Yeah.
just have the band members' names. There's no. Now,
Yeah.
I think this is just taken. This is ripped from the video. This vinyl edition, and I don't own the video. I don't own the DVD. I wasn't crazy about it. There's too many fast camera.
Yeah.
Just really, it's kind of tedious to watch.
Interesting. Wendy Dio is listed as a producer for the Radio City Music Hall show. Barry
Oh,
Innerman, Gloria Butler is also listed. Gloria Butler
oh
and
yeah,
Wendy
my
Dio
favorite producer.
and
My
Ralph
favorite
Baker.
producer. Ralph who?
Ralph Baker for the Live at Radio City Music Hall
Okay,
show.
all right. Why not? Wendy Dio, executive producer.
I will say that maybe she is the person sort of pushing some of this stuff to get out because we had the
And
Live Evil remix. They did a remix of Holy Diver. So I mean that's not a bad thing. I'm all for like, and there probably are a lot of people I have read on forums that the vinyl versions of these live records went out of print pretty quickly. I guess they didn't print a
yeah,
whole ton of them. So there are people who this box set probably will be worth it. Now, if you're somebody like us that already has it, you got to sit back and you got to ask yourself, is what's $199.98? Is that worth it for seven new songs?
well, but if you want this in any form, it's over $200 on Discogs.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're really expensive. The only thing I think that might be more expensive, or maybe they run neck and neck, is the Live at Hammersmith, the
Yeah.
Rhino hand, which is another thing they probably should have put out before they put this out. I mean, chronologically, it came out before this anyway. So, I mean, we could have wrapped up, we could have put a bow on the 80s Dio era with the Live at Hammersmith and then move on to Heaven and Hell chronologically. But there is no chronological order to any of this. It's just kind of random.
Yeah. Slapdash. Well, and they, all right. Well, we can segue maybe into the Seven Star Record Store Day vinyl reissue. And I'm going to
Hmm.
ask you a question in a second here. I can look it up too while you're talking. We last Record Store Day, we got the Eternal Idol
Right.
reissued on vinyl. A lot of people wondered why the Eternal Idol wasn't in the Tony Martin era box, and we've talked about this a million times. It was on a different record label. But here you go, you get it on a remastered vinyl. It had not been reissued on vinyl since the original Eternal Idol release. We looked this up before we recorded. Seven Star, there's only the original issue of Seven Star version of it on vinyl. So this is an updated vinyl remastered version. It's been remastered a bunch of times on CD, but this is the first time it's been remastered, put on vinyl. What are
Fun.
your thoughts on that? And they did do a remastered vinyl of Dehumanizer. That has come out in the last so many years, right? Wasn't that a
There's
Record Store
two.
Day thing
There's
too?
what was that?
Was that a Record Store Day thing too?
No, I don't think it was. I think it might have been before Record Store Day, or it just kind of dropped out at a strange time. There's two remastered versions of Dehumanizer. I have one that came out in 2009, and that came out in and around the time that the Rhino was pumping out, even the Ozzy era. They were just pumping them out, and they all sound great. In fact, they're my favorite, other than the first three, four actually original Vertigo. The Rhino that came out, I think they started pumping them out in like 2005, and it went until like 2008. So the Dehumanizer, no, I originally said 2009, but I'm pretty sure it came out in 2008. That was the first remaster, and that sounds really good. And then I'm going to say maybe about 10 years ago, 2016, I'm going to guess. Could be wrong, but they came out with another remastered version of Dehumanizer, double record set that had demos, I believe, and I know it had the Wayne's World version of. I'm pretty sure it had the Wayne's World version of uh, Time Machine on it, which is the original version that was only recorded for the movie, and then they re-recorded it when they recorded the album.
Right.
So there's two
So
versions of Dehumanizer.
yeah, the one came out. Dehumanizer was never originally released in the US. It was released in Europe in 92 and some other
Right.
territories.
On
Uh,
on vinyl. On vinyl.
on
It
vinyl,
did come out.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. 2009, Reprise released a remastered vinyl version in 2009 in the
Yeah.
US, and in 2019 was the
19. Okay.
Rhino Deluxe Edition remaster that you were
Um,
just talking about.
yeah, a few years. I was a few years off on that, but yeah. I have them both. I had the 2009 when it came out, and I was hesitant to buy the double record, but I caved and I got it for the bonus material. So I mean, I have them both.
Yeah.
Generally, though, I'm not even sure if it's the same remaster. I think it's a different remaster, but I prefer the 2009. That sounds really good, and so does the Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell from that cycle of Rhino. And you could tell because the hype sticker had it was a black, it had a black stripe, a white stripe, and a black stripe, and it said, Rhino remasters. Those are the really good ones. I think anyway.
Yeah,
And I've compared them.
I can't get any information on the '09 remaster, but Andy Pierce did the 2019
Yeah. Oh,
remaster.
okay.
So yeah, Seven Star again. I have an original. I'm sure you have an original. Uh, it could be interesting. I mean, I don't. Did we ever really talk about the Eternal Idol one? I didn't think the remaster of that was anything mind blowing. I mean, it was a little. Maybe it added a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of clarity to it. I don't know. So I'm not really expecting anything. I've talked about this on my channel. Be careful that you don't confuse a remaster with a remix. Remix is going in and changing levels and EQs on individual instruments. When you have the master tapes, Darin mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Born Again, that's supposed to be a remix. A remaster is just, you can remaster a record yourself by turning up the bass knob on your stereo. You're effectively remastering the record. You're adding bass to it. It can only add to the finished sort of product, if you
Nick.
will. They can only add some treble or some whatever. So don't expect
I,
miracles, in other words. If you didn't like the
yeah.
way Seven Star sounded, it's not going to sound like a totally different record. I personally don't have a problem with the way Seven Star sounded. So,
Now remastering is, I mean, not to make light of it or to diminish the importance of a master. I mean, there are mastering
yeah,
engineers that have gone to school and they have it down to a science, and they could make. And in fact, in a lot of things that I have, I'll defer to the remaster as a better sounding product because whoever it was, I mean, there's a lot of great mastering engineers, and they can take it and they can just make it sound completely different just by
yeah,
tweaking. And it isn't just like treble, bass, and mid. You have all these different combinations of things. So um, remaster is pretty important too. When something is touted as being remastered, um, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, you could look into it and see who's doing it, and that might give it more credibility. There's also remasters that you can hardly tell a difference because maybe they just didn't do that much to it, or maybe it didn't
yeah,
need that much.
yeah,
A Seven Star, I'm curious to hear. Um, we talked about it when we did our podcast, and I think we were both in agreement that it had somewhat of an antiquated, dated 80s sound to it.
yeah,
And depending on who remastered it, if they can kind of make it sound a little bit more modern without diminishing its original charm, but make it sound a little bit fuller because
yeah,
it's a little thin. But I mean, it's consistent with everything that came out in the 80s, a lot of commercial rock. Seven Star kind of fit in with the commercial rock sound of the 80s. It'd be kind of cool to hear it with a little bit more bottom end. It'd be good. It's a good album. I mean, I like it. You like it. We talked about it for like an hour and some change on our podcast. Am I surprised it's coming out for Record Store Day? Yeah. I mean, why Seven Star? I mean, it's probably the least popular of any Sabbath record, and
I'm guessing they're
calling it a Sabbath record is a stretch anyway, because it really was,
yeah.
as we all know, was intended as a Tony Iommi solo record that the label called Black Sabbath Seven Star.
I have a feeling they're just going back through the catalog, and the same thing with Eternal Idol. Hasn't been released on vinyl since the original release. Let's put it out on Record Store Day and just put it out there. It's not even any kind of major fanfare or anything. There is a weird little thing here. When you go to the Record Store Day website and you read the description, it tells you, released in '86, 12th studio album, blah, 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 blah. It says the album, Trapeze the album featured the single No Stranger to Love. This is pressed on red and black splatter vinyl. This newly remastered edition now includes the single remix version of No Stranger to Love. So when I read that, what I thought that meant, tell me if you thought the same thing, that was going to be a bonus track at the end.
Yeah,
According to the track listing, It's not. That's not listed. There's only one No Stranger to Love listed here. So are you telling me that the slot number two on the record here is going to be a radio edit of No Stranger to Love? It's not going to be the full record version? If that's the case, I mean, it's not like, blow up the
No.
world over it, but it's just kind of disappointing, right? It's like, what? Because as soon as I read that, I scrolled to the bottom of the track list and I'm like, well, where's I expected to see No Stranger to Love, parentheses, radio edit thing,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's not listed.
I'm almost kind of glad they didn't do that because I don't want it. I mean, the album has it's long enough, and the way that it's side one and side two, the lengths of side one and side two are perfect the way they are. I don't want them to crowd it with another song on the end of side two because then it starts to get a little bit distorted and it doesn't sound as good. But on the other hand, I don't want the original version of No Stranger to Love replaced with an edited version because then you still have to have the original album. I mean, I
Yeah,
think in concept, these reissues like Eternal Idol and the Tony Martin box set, these are supposed to be for people that missed the boat on buying these albums originally or that, they don't want to spend upwards of like $100 on the original version. So, this is the new version. This is the definitive version. Um, but it's not if it's taking something that wasn't they were taking
exactly.
something away that was on the original version and replacing it with something else on the new version. Then you still have to seek out the original version if you're a completist or if you want the album the way that it originally was
Right.
intended.
And this is the exact type of thing that somebody at a record company decides to do, and nobody says, I can just picture somebody at a record company think, oh, nobody's going to care. But people like us, we care. We really
Oh, people
care.
care.
This is like talking
People
about the
care.
Beatles, when
Yeah,
you go to the Steve Hoffman forum and there's like 800 pages of people talking about like that
yeah,
Beatles box set and getting
yeah,
like there's like 20 pages of people pissed off that you can't hear Ringo's the squeak of Ringo's kick drum was cut out at the beginning of one of the songs, and these people are ready to storm the record company with pitchforks and everything. I mean, the fans are. We take this stuff seriously, so to think that somehow this is, I mean, maybe this is a typo, but to think that this is somehow uh like a selling point that we're giving you an edited version of the song. Who would want that? It's not a usually radio edits for those who are too young. What they used to do was is you would usually do some sort of ham-fisted edit to just cut a chorus in half or some fade the song out quicker. It was never really like any kind, it's not like a different version of the song, like the band played a different version of the song. It's usually just like some sort of fisted, chopped up thing, just so they could shave off 10 seconds of the song because they thought back then, like, oh my God, you got a song has to be as short as possible
yeah.
to get it on the
It had to be under
radio.
5 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, it never like it's like never a good better thing. It's never a good thing. It's a curiosity thing when you're, a fan and you're like, oh, let's just hear what the radio edit sounded like. I don't know if I can't think of any song that I'm like, yeah, the radio edit is way better than the original, because it's usually
no,
chopping up the song and taking something out of the song
yeah,
that you
yeah. It's
you're
usually
used to on the studio version.
yeah. You described it as ham-fisted, right? It,
Yeah.
it generally is. Yeah, it's like it's not even like at a seam or something. It's just like chopped in the middle, like, oh, now it's too long, or let's, yeah, it's not very well executed generally. But I mean, at that time, if you listen to the radio and you would hear it a bunch of times on the radio before you would actually purchase the album, and a lot of times even that radio edit would be on the 7-inch or the
Yeah.
45, as we call them then. That version would be on the 45 a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times. I think it was FM radio. I think that was mostly an AM radio invented thing. And I think FM radio would generally play album tracks as they appeared originally. Um, but I could be wrong about that. But I think that was more like a old time, old school AM radio.
Yeah.
Let's try to get it, moving along, 3 minute intervals, each song about 3 minutes. Somebody decided that that was the average attention span of the listener, and
Right.
anything
So
beyond that, you lose them.
I'm looking at, and we were talking about this before we started recording. There was a double disc Sanctuary reissue CD, not vinyl, 2 CD, 2015. And on that version, it's listed as a bonus track, and it's called No Stranger to Love alternate version that is
Mm,
exactly 29 seconds shorter than the original. So I'm assuming that that's the radio edit. So it's just listed as an alternate version here. So basically, you're losing 30 seconds of the song. Maybe if you're a casual fan, you don't care, but this is the type of thing that drives completists and hardcore fans
yeah,
mad when companies do. I
yeah,
mean,
and a lot of yeah, and a lot of times those will end up on the bonus disc or if it's a CD,
which
it'll
is
end
what
up
it
at
is
the
here.
end or a bonus disc or on a vinyl, like in the case of the Dehumanizer double vinyl. That
Mhm.
radio edit, I think it was a radio edit. I don't have the track listing in front of me. The records on the other side of the room, but there's just like for the complete, it's like it's the whole. First, you have the album in its original sequence, and then for the bonus or for the extra record, you've got the single edits. You've got maybe a live version or two. It's the superfluous stuff that isn't part of the main album, but is for collectors. It's something that you want to be a completist. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
That's why.
also discuss. So this is totally strange. I see a YouTube video from Sky News, which is a UK outlet, and it has a gentleman named David Jolly, aka Chabby, who
Mm,
says that he was a friend of Ozzy's after Ozzy had left Black Sabbath. Ozzy gave him a tape that was labeled Ozzy, Ozzie, Last Day. He goes on
mm,
this news show to play it for seemingly for the first time, as he mentions that he's nervous that the tape is going to get chewed up. He says the tape has been in his attic for decades. Uh, and it turns out that it is confirmed by Bob Daisley that this is Ozzy, Randy, and Bob. Bob doesn't know who the drummer is, but knows it's not Lee. And they're sort of playing some sort of slow, meandering
bluesy. Yeah.
blues number. Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing to really get too excited about. Uh,
No, but it's cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
weird little historical thing being we have so
Absolutely.
little of Randy.
Yeah.
And according to this Loudwire article, it's 12 minutes long. We only hear like about a 5 second
Yeah.
little snippet
Well,
of it.
because my guess is that that could be wrong, but somebody's probably planning on marketing this in some capacity. I mean, why not? I mean, does it have a saleable quality? Of course it does. It's probably most likely the earliest known recording of Ozzy, Randy, and Bob. I mean, if Lee's not in it, and Lee didn't join until they were well into the recording of Blizzard of Oz, as everyone knows. Um, but chances are this is before writing really even started to really commence for what would be on Blizzard of Oz. This is probably like the earliest known recording. I mean, does it have a saleable quality just on its own? I mean, I guess, but not broadly. I don't think that you would get the casual fan to buy something like this, but it would be great to have as a B-side or bonus material or something on a larger release. Who knows? I mean, we already have Blizzard of Oz. We already have Diary of a Madman remastered. I don't know how many times we got box set, Ozzy and or Blizzard and Diary. I mean, I don't know, but it does have a saleable quality. I just don't know how you would integrate it into something. But where there's a will, there's a way, and I
Well,
can almost I bet anything that Sharon Osbourne
yes.
already owns or
I
she
have a
already has.
feeling that Chabby has felt the hammer of the music business legal system probably came crashing down on his head. He seems like a total innocent,
He
lovable
seems like a
bloke
very nice.
that,
Seems like a
found
nice
this in
chap.
his, right. He finds this in his attic and he probably thinks, well, hey, Ozzy gave this to me. It's mine. Probably within minutes, lawyers were, as soon as this thing aired, probably minutes later, lawyers were dropping out of helicopters and parachutes, crashing through his window, laying writs on him and all kinds of cease and desists. And because
I wouldn't be
most people
surprised.
do, yeah, most people don't understand like the legalities of these things. They don't understand how these things work. Now,
Well,
they
yeah,
should, for those who out there who maybe don't know, Bob Daisley came out years ago before they released the Blizzard box set, Blizzard and Diary box set. And Bob has a bunch of uh, boombox recordings that he made of the band rehearsing. Bob said he tried to negotiate something with the Osborne camp and it didn't go anywhere. Uh, if you see, I saw an interview with Jack Osborne about this, and Jack said, hey, everybody's like pointing the finger at us, but it's just not us. The Rhodes family, the Rhodes estate is also involved in negotiations for this.
yeah,
So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to things like this. It's just unfortunately for the fans, unfortunately, it's not as simple as like, hey, why don't you just put it out there?
yeah,
There's just so much like red tape. And it's a shame because, yeah, it doesn't sound very exciting, but it's a historical document. And why not put it out there as such? There's so little from this era. There's so little of Randy. Uh, Recordings of them rehearsing or goofing around or having fun or just jamming on things, working on building songs up and stuff like that. Do something with it,
yeah,
let the fans have it. It's such a shame that this stuff will probably never get released. It'll sit in a box in somebody's drawer somewhere, and the fans are the worst off from it
yeah.
because,
You know what I would do? You know what I would do with this? I would I would take this and I would put it with Mr. Crowley Live and You Said It All, and I would re-release it for a record store day thing
yeah, there
with
you
the
go.
focus being on Mr. Crowley Live. What we got here? I've got a couple different versions. So Mr. Crowley recorded this was with the original Blizzard of Oz. Um, so we got that. With You Said It All and Suicide Solution. Repress this. And it came out on a picture disc too. A lot of us snagged it on picture disc,
Yeah,
and then it came out in this version here
that's the
as
version
well.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, put this out, and then put the Chappie rehearsal on side two. Put it all on side one, and then put that on side two. I mean that's what I would do. Um, but I mean that's from a fan's perspective. But I mean the Mr. Crowley Live, I don't think well actually it was in the box set. It was in the $400 box set, both editions that came out uh, within the last few years or so. But otherwise, I mean, you can't get it as a standalone. You have to buy
Yeah.
the original version. I mean, it's generally not that expensive to get used. They pressed a lot of them, and you could find them. But why not put it out for a record store day? I mean, what the hell? We're putting out Eternal Idol. We're putting out Seven Star. Why not put out Mr. Crowley Live EP and then put this
Yeah.
in on side two? Why not? I mean, that's fans would love it. I'd love it. I'd buy it.
Well, it could be a
I think
situation
anybody would that's an
too.
Ozzy fan.
Sometimes people think too that they have something that's worth maybe they would approach David about this tape, and David thinks it's worth $25 million, and they're like, "Sorry, you know, it
Well,
ain't worth $25 million," and we're not. Suppose there's a rumor out there. I mean, a lot of people have said they have seen this, that there are two brothers, two twin brothers that filmed uh, Randy with Ozzy. One of them was on Randy's side, one of them's in front of Ozzy. The Phoenix Brothers tapes, or what they've called. And I've seen still shots of it. And supposedly they've been contacted by the Osbournes, and they want so much money for it that no one's ever going to see it. The Osbournes won't pay. They think that they're sitting on, a lottery ticket. And is it worth something? Yeah, of course it's worth something. But, there is a limit to, let's face it, like with stuff like this, we're diehards. We love this kind of stuff. We want this kind of stuff. But it is kind of a narrow market of people. I mean, I'm always of the belief, put it out there, let the fans have it. You don't have to print 50,000 copies of it, print 10,000 copies of 5,000 copies, whatever you think is going to sell. But just for the historical nature of this, it's too much of a historical document that to
yeah.
just let it never be heard because people can't agree on numbers is just silly.
Yeah, and I guess you also have to consider that maybe in the 80s you could throw big money at something like that, but nowadays, I mean,
Yeah,
um, not so much. I mean, people just don't. I mean, I guess it would just be money to transfer the rights from one person to the other so that you can put it up on streaming services and things like that. But as far as like having it only on physical product, I mean, you're not going to make that much money off a physical
right.
product anymore. People just don't buy it. Most people stream or whatever. So, I don't know that. I mean, maybe if you had something like that, like the Phoenix Brothers, is that what they're called? The Phoenix
Yeah, I
Brothers?
think so. Yeah,
If you had that and in 1986 you were willing to wheel and deal, but they didn't come into what you wanted, you may have missed the boat on that
yeah,
for these days. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's what you negotiate. I mean, if you got something, it's worth money, figure it out. Um, Negotiate. I mean, it's like
yeah,
it's not worth anything to anybody sitting in a cardboard box or sitting on a shelf somewhere. I mean, even if you make, I don't know, $10,000 on it, it's more than what you have if it's just sitting there not being used for anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just approaching it from a fan's vantage point. I'd love to have I'd love to have pro shot of Randy and Ozzy. I know a lot of people would. I'd love to have more pro shot Sabbath. What we have really
yeah,
is we have Paris 1970. We've got Don Kirshner. We've got 1974 California Jam, not the entire set, just a few songs. And then what we've got Never Say
Never
Die
Say
Live
Die.
78. I mean that's pretty good, but I mean, we know that there's pro technical ecstasy
Yeah,
video out there, which looks fantastic. We'd love to
yep,
get that. Um, it's out there. I mean, there's another. I mean, there's now sometimes some of the things we see, we automatically assume that there's a full length version of it, and that's not always the case. Sometimes there is only a minute or two because it was used for a news program
right.
or something
Yeah,
something to be televised. There really doesn't exist an entire version. Just because we see 1974 Australia, I think I posted that a couple weeks
yeah,
ago. That just happened out of nowhere. Not the greatest quality; it's a little blurry, but still, I mean, it is what it is. Um, and there's another one from 1971 from Australia that's a lot clearer. It was one camera, but in both cases, they were only a couple minutes long because they were
yeah,
used to advertise something that you don't have the full concert.
yeah. And
Um,
back then, people, unless they were professional, a lot of the handheld stuff is 8 millimeter. And you can only put
Yeah.
so much on those 8 millimeter films. It's like 8 minutes or something before you got to change the reel. And that's why when you see a lot of those old 8 millimeter things, it's 30 seconds here, it's 10 seconds here,
Yeah.
it's 45 seconds here, because the person is just filming a little bit, because they only have so much that they can do. Uh, the Live Evil, they
Yeah.
intended to film Live Evil. Ronnie references it in the Live Evil record. Not only are we making a live album, we're making we're a video recording this. There is footage that you can see. It doesn't look that great, but there's multi-camera footage.
Not bad.
Does that still exist somewhere? Maybe, maybe not. Back then, people didn't, they may have filmed it, they never edited it together. The band looked at it, said, "This is too dark. The lighting isn't right. We're not going to use it." And there's maybe one or two reels that have survived, and they taped over the rest of it because that's just the way they did things back then. And it's not, there's that technical ecstasy footage that you mentioned, that there's a YouTube channel, Reeling in the Years. You can go to the thing. They've got all kinds of stuff. They always have their watermark on the front of it. Without getting too much into this, that was on their site for a while. They took it down. Whoever runs Reeling in the Years left this big comment at one point explaining why. He goes, "People are sending me messages. We're going to start a GoFundMe so the fans can buy this footage." He said, "It doesn't work that way. It's not as easy as that, because as weird as this sounds, they own the footage. Black Sabbath owns their music that's on that footage. So it's sort of like one can't exist without the other. You can't release the
Yeah.
video without Sabbath's permission. You can't release it's like both camps have to agree on this." If you're interested in this topic, there's a Led Zeppelin podcast. Don't remember what it's called. If I remember, I'll link it, where a guy talks about that Albert Hall footage, how he owned that Albert Hall footage. And it's fascinating, the battle that he gets into with Led Zeppelin, because he owns the footage, they own the music. Zeppelin finds out he has it because he gives to the BBC no music, just silent, just the video image. And the BBC got the rights to 30-second clips of some Zeppelin songs, and they had superimposed it over the footage. Zeppelin goes, "Wait a minute, that's the Albert Hall footage that we thought didn't exist anymore." And it creates this big legal battle between this guy and Led Zeppelin, which eventually gets resolved because it was released on a box set or something, so many years ago. And this guy got a house and a couple cars out of it. But it's a sort of a fascinating thing of why this is so tricky, like the Don Kirshner stuff, right? Who knows who technically owns the rights to that footage now? The Don Kirshner estate. Sometimes this stuff gets handed off to different people. They have a debt with somebody and they say, "Here, we're going to sell you. You can have the rights to these 30 concerts. Here, take them." Dude, and it becomes a big tangled legal mess. And sometimes it can be a chore just figuring out who has the rights to this stuff. And sometimes people don't have the original tapes anymore. They don't have, the stuff is lost in time. It's damaged. It's lost in a warehouse somewhere. It was mislabeled or whatever. So sometimes these things can be really difficult, really tricky to figure out the legalities of it, hunting down the original. Look at Iommi has talked about the Born Again tapes. They lost the original mixtapes. They found them. I mean, it was a whole, long, difficult process for them to do that. So you can imagine this random video footage. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
probably like trying to find, I don't know what, the lost city of Atlantis or something.
Yeah. Well, every so often, there's certain bootlegs that pop up that are FM broadcasts, and sometimes there's like different versions that come out in the same year. I mean, I have a few. I have a lot actually. I have from night Black Sabbath from 1970. I have a ton of UFO as well. That Cleo the UFO bootlegs, for lack of a better word, mostly all FM broadcasts were put out by Cleopatra Records. Um, Now the Black Sabbath from 1970 to 78, and then we start getting into Dio era. They're all FM broadcasts, and it seems like they're free game. Whoever buys whoever bought the original tape. I guess the FM company radio station owns the actual recordings. Is that how it goes? And then they
Yeah,
can sell because it's their property, regardless of the fact that the music is owned by, or the publishing or whatever is owned by the band themselves. They own that audio and they can sell it. And it's appeared in any number of bootlegs and it's totally legal. I mean, they sell them. I mean, the ones that aren't legal are the ones where there wasn't any licensing taking place, where people just went into a venue or a stadium and
yeah.
just recorded with a handheld tape recorder. The ones that were, given permission to record to broadcast over FM, um, as I guess a promotional thing. Um, After a while, I mean, they're sitting in a vault, and I guess they're the property of the radio station, and I guess they end up selling them. I don't know how it works, but it is legal.
Yeah, it's a
So,
weird. I actually researched this once because there was a point in time where you could go into FYE. This was, I mean, maybe like 10 years ago or something, right? They barely had any CDs left in there. And I remember I walked in there and I was like, why are there all these like CD little box things? You know what I mean? With like three CDs in them. There was one for AC/DC. There was all, and they're all radio broadcasts. And I was like,
yeah.
okay, there's something going on here. And when I researched it, there's, it has something to do with the weird copyright laws around the world and something to do with the fact that it's broadcast over radio. So what you'll see in a lot of these is that they're coming from Europe. The company that's putting it out is a European company because the laws are different over there when it comes to stuff like this. And because they were broadcast over the radio, you can go on Amazon and you can find these on
Oh
there
yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
they're dancing around some sort of copyright law. They're able to get these things out, but they're dancing around. The band certainly does not authorize these, but they're also not completely illegal, or they would have gotten taken off the shelf. Some chain store like FYE wouldn't be carrying stuff like this if it wasn't, but yeah, it's some sort of weird international copyright law around FM radio broadcasts or some loophole that these, small
Yeah.
record labels have managed to exploit and to put these things
Yeah.
out. All right, well, there you go. There's our little, maybe not little, we were talking for a while about it, but some stuff that's on the plate here with Sabbath. I think one thing we've learned is you never know what's going to happen, right? There was no
Oh,
warning about the seven star thing. It just like happened, right?
or the heaven. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
the
I would
heaven and
think
hell.
something like a Born Again remix. That's just not going to come out of nowhere. You're going to hear people talk there's going to be more fanfare around something like that. But you never know what's going to happen. This weird sort of Aussie tape comes out of
Right?
nowhere. I mean, who knows what is sitting inside a box inside somebody's garage as we speak, right? So,
Oh,
uh,
that's true. Um,
let's
but
see
like I
what
said,
happens. Here's what we
yeah,
got on our plate for now: the Heaven and Hell box set, the seven-star reissue. So we'll see we're still very early into 2026. So hopefully there's going to be more of this stuff coming
I'm
out.
thinking, yeah, I'm not giving up hope on the Born Again box set. I'm thinking that sometime between now and the end of the year, that'll be like the big thing. And this is just a preliminary couple things, throw the fans a bone, got something for Record Store Day. It's still confusing that they decided to put out this Heaven and Hell box set because I'm sure I mean, it's a pretty extensive package. You've got seven vinyl records, um, you've got a poster, a book, and all that stuff. So that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a pretty expensive, pretty elaborate box set to be putting into the Heaven and Hell band Devil You Know, which I don't know. You'd have to look up the sales. I don't think it did that great. I mean,
Yeah, I
okay. I mean, they toured a lot for it. You and I saw them, 2007. Is that when we saw them?
think so. Yeah.
And that was a great show. But I would think that the real highlight of the year is going to be something. I think, the powers that be have to know that people are pining for this Born Again box set. So maybe it's like that's in the that's in the works, and hopefully that'll come out sometime before the end of the year.
Yeah, for the longest time, the fans were screaming for the longest time to reissue the Tony Martin stuff. That was like finally that got done. So now the big next mountain to climb is the Born Again remix. I really think that that's we got that Tony Martin said that took 20 years or whatever,
Yeah.
we got that. But now everybody's like, all right, the next big target here, the next mountain hill to climb is this Born Again remix. So
That,
it's gonna
that
happen.
Tony,
I always talked about it too much for it
yeah,
to not happen. It's just a question of when. And in the world of Sabbath, the wheels of doom grind slowly in the world of Sabbath. Nothing comes out
indeed.
super fast. There's probably red tape involved in this one. Uh, so we'll see. We'll keep our fingers. I'm like you. I do think I wouldn't be surprised if it's like something right before Christmas. So,
Yeah,
like Christmas, November, December
but you
thing.
never know. Just
Yep.
because it makes sense, just because it seems logical, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it would stand to reason that that would be a pretty good time, something before Christmas, around November, something like that.
All right. Well, we'll see. And of course, if it happens, you'll be the first to hear it from us here on Sabbath Sunday. It's
Yep.
Darin and I. So, all right. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for listening to us. Make sure you check out the podcast, Into the Void of Black Sabbath podcast, and we'll see you at the next Sabbath Sunday.